What year do you think American schools were designed? Not when they were founded, when the structure you work in today was locked in. One teacher, one classroom, one grade level. The answer? 1893. And most of the problems you're trying to fix today, they trace back to that decision. Well, I'm John with the Teaming Edge, and today we're going to look at why that structure of American schooling hasn't meaningfully changed in 130 years. What the research now tells us it's costing us, and what a team-based alternative actually looks like, including one I lived through myself. In 1893, a group called the Committee of 10 university presidents and education leaders led by Charles Eliot of Harvard, published a report that standardized the American high school curriculum. It set the subjects, the sequence, the structure: one teacher, one subject, one group of same-age students, one period at a time. Now let's think about what that design assumed. It assumed teachers would stay for 30 years, so turnover wasn't a problem to solve. It assumed curriculum would change slowly. It assumed students would arrive with similar readiness, and it assumed knowledge was scarce. Every one of those assumptions is now false. Teachers don't stay 30 years. Curriculum changes constantly. Students arrive with wildly different readiness, and information is everywhere. Your students have the sum of human knowledge in their pocket. But the unit, one teacher, one classroom, one grade level, it hasn't changed. We're asking 2026 educators to do 2026 work inside an 1893 structure. Richard Ingersoll has spent the last 25 years studying teacher turnover. He's at University of Pennsylvania Graduate School of Education. His findings across the entire body of research: half of all teacher turnover is concentrated in about 25% of schools. And the driver isn't mostly pay, it's working conditions, especially how much real authority teachers have over their own work. In 2025, Ingersoll and two colleagues at Arizona State, they looked at a model called the Next Education Workforce, where instead of one teacher managing one classroom, a team of 3 to 5 educators share a larger group of students, plan together, and take on different roles. And here's what they found. Teachers inside the team-based model had a turnover rate of about 12%. Teachers in traditional classrooms, 21%, nearly half the turnover. So whether you look at the predicted or the raw numbers, the pattern is the same. They then looked inside the team group and split it by how much decision-making authority each teacher reported. The teachers with high authority, 6.6% turnover. The teachers with low authority inside the same team structure, 22%. Same team structure, same students, same school. The only difference? Authority. And the turnover triples. Put someone on a team and don't give them authority. You've just added meetings to a broken system. That's the failure made of most PLCs. We collaborate, and then we go back to isolated execution. The collaboration becomes a meeting on the calendar instead of a structure for the work. The team isn't the magic. The team plus authority is the multiplier. Several years ago, I worked on a team just like this. We had 2 physics teachers, 2 engineering teachers, and about 120 ninth graders. We picked topics that matched our strengths. We planned together. Students rotated between us depending on what they were learning that week. One day, a student might be with me, learning physics concepts, and then move to an engineering teacher to apply it, then come back. Test scores stayed about the same, but engagement went up. We didn't change what we were teaching, we changed how we adults were organized around the students. The fact that performance held steady while engagement climbed is exactly what the research now predicts. And the thing I remember most, and the thing that stuck with me for years, is that the students felt empowered. They weren't stuck with one adult's blind spot or one adult's pace. They had a team. Now think about what that looks like for the student. In a traditional model, A student moves between 6 or 7 isolated rooms a day. Each teacher knows only that student's work in that one subject, no shared context. In a team-based model, a student is known by 3 to 5 connected adults who share context, share data, and can deploy the right person for the right need. That's the framework. I call it the teaming blueprint. 4 shifts, each one is a master schedule decision, not a PD initiative. Shift 1, shared students. A team of 3 to 5 educators share responsibility for 75 to 150 students. Not each teacher with their own separate roster, one shared roster. Students rotate through flexible configurations during the day or week, whole group, small group, intervention, one-on-one, staffed by whichever team member fits the need. If students aren't shared, you don't have a team. You just have adjacent classrooms. Shift 2, shared time. Common team planning time built into the master schedule. Protected, not bolted on after school. If the time isn't in the schedule, it isn't a structure. It's a favor you're asking tired people to do. Shift 3, shared roles. Team members play differentiated roles instead of all doing the same job. A lead teacher, a content specialist, a teacher in their first year or second year in an apprenticeship role, a specialist who works across teams. Different roles means different paths for growth, which is one of the reasons this model holds on to novice teachers that traditional models chew up. If every teacher has the same role, you don't have a team, you have a department. Shift 4, shared authority. This is the multiplier, and this is where most PLC implementations fail. The Ingersoll study measured teacher authority with 5 statements. How much do teachers agree that they're trusted to make professional decisions about instruction? That they control how to use their class time? That they set their own grading and assessment practices? That they're free to be creative in their teaching? That they contribute to decisions about educational issues at their school? Teachers who said yes to those inside a team had 6.6% turnover. Teachers who said no had 22%. 4 of those 5 statements are about decisions inside the classroom, not state curriculum, not district budget. The basic professional authority to make instructional decisions about your own students. In most schools, that floor has been cut out from under teachers through mandated pacing guides, scripted curriculum, district set grading policies, and exclusion from school level decisions. So here's the test. Name 3 substantive instructional decisions your team made in the past year. Not decisions you were informed about, decisions your team actually made. If you can't name 3, you don't have authority. You have meetings. If the team can't decide, the structure doesn't matter. This isn't a PD decision. It's a master schedule decision. The next decade of school improvement doesn't run through better teachers. It runs through better teams. So I put together a 1-page tool called the Teaming Blueprint. 4 master schedule decisions that cut teacher turnover. For each of the 4 shifts, it shows you current state versus future state and gives you 2 or 3 specific scheduling decisions you can bring to your cabinet, your principal, or your leadership team this spring. Here's where I want to leave you. You can't control the salary schedule. You can't control the testing calendar. You can control how your team is structured, but only if you're willing to change the unit from the individual classroom to the team. So the question isn't whether your teachers care. They do. The question is whether you've built a team structure that's worth staying for. Hey, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.